Hey guys, what is up? Today I come to you with another weekly review of All Out, and we are at episode 23, and you know what that means. We have 2 more episodes, 2 more weeks till the season finale of All Out, at least for now, until we hear further news. Now, I checked on Twitter, and I saw a post that they tweeted about for the last episode of All Out. Sorry. In Japan, they're going to be showing the last episode in theaters. I'm guessing selected theaters. And once they're done showing the episode, they're going to have like a live panel with some voice actors and possibly the production team who was working behind the scenes of creating All Out. So if you're lucky enough to be in Japan currently right now, or you're planning to go to Japan within these 2 weeks, then you can go buy the tickets and watch the last episode in theaters on a big screen and see how the last episode will go down. And you'll hear the live panel and the people talking, and possibly you may hear some news. Is there a season 2? If you can tell me, that would be amazing. But to get into this week's episode, how it started out was something that we never seen in All Out. And it goes to show that the situation that they're in against Team Ryoin, this is the episode where they're actually going against them, it's not looking very good for Team Jinko. Team Jinko, in the beginning of the episode, within the first 2 to 3 minutes, has their hands tied behind them and they're backed up against the wall. The situation is not in their favor, and that's something that I was not phased by, but I did not expect them to show like a future glimpse into the match within the first 2 to 3 minutes of the episode. But going into that, we have where the episode really starts off with Ryoin wanting to do a special training. We also see where the third years of Jinko are having a meeting, and it seems to be very serious, and I'm guessing they're discussing about what they're planning to do against Team Ryoin, what tactics and strategies they will plan to use. And of course, Ryoin is going on for his special training. He bumps into Sumiyaki and Miyuki, and he doesn't really get to do much of his special training, but these three end up having a lot of fun with each other, and you just really enjoy the dynamics between these 3 characters, because you would have thought all 3 of them were friends from so long ago, but 2 of them only end up meeting in high school because they are in the rugby team. Of course, what really caught my eye was Matsuo. Now, since 2 episodes ago, I believe, when he was substituted from the game with Oharano, his whole demeanor seemed off. He doesn't seem as cheerful. He doesn't seem as genuine. And it's like he's putting on a fake smile. He's putting on a facade. And of course, if you, the viewer, and myself are catching on to this, then you definitely know that Ebony has caught on to that. Of course, he's not saying anything, and we don't know exactly what Matsuo is going through. They have not explained it, but I hope for the last 2 episodes they explain, like knowing that he's sitting out of the game. Possibly Ebony will be able to talk to him while the game is going on and find out what is going on with him, because the way he's acting, his demeanor does not seem like himself. So, of course, past that, we have where the day of the match is here. The 2 teams are going to go at it, and we have where Team Jinko goes against Ryoin, and they send in their second string. Now, in most sports anime, they disrespect the second string till no tomorrow, because they believe, they're the reserves, they're the bench warmers. That means they're not good enough to be in the first string. The first string of Ryoin is sitting out. But like I said many times over, Ryoin is a strong school. 15 years at Hanazono. That means that even though these guys are second string and most of them are reserves, that doesn't mean that they should be looked down upon, especially if they're able to get into the school and get on the team. That should be enough. That should tell you that these guys are pretty strong, and these guys are a force to be reckoned with. Of course, we're introduced, at least for this season, the last character introduced into this series by the name of Mikado Sho, and he is a Sekito fanboy. Of course, we get to see the Karashima brothers, and What I mean by Sekito fanboy, the only reason he joined the team is because he greatly admires and he loves Sekito. So he joined the team and played the same position as him, and he is a first year. And of course, he and Gion are clashing because they both play the same position and they both admire Sekito, but at the same time, Gion wants to surpass Sekito as the number one flanker in Kanagawa. And it doesn't help that they're both short, even though Mikado is a little taller. So it was a little funny moment. But don't let his shortness, kind of cover you and tell you otherwise. Because this guy, he is so good already in the game. The game starts. And we have pure scrums and knock-ons happening. Like, no one is scoring a try, no one is getting a point, and the way it's going, we see, even though that's happening constantly, we see why Ryoin is such a good school. Even though that they are second string, we see why they're so versatile. Their speed is a sight to look at, and their strength is phenomenal. Okay, and it's like, my God, already Jinko within the first few minutes of the game is already having a tough time trying to keep a hold on Ryoin. And like Mikado, even though he is short, he is already better than Gion. He is a better player, better at playing his position as flanker, even though he gets knocked down. When we saw Gion going in for a low tackle, aiming for his ankles, this guy jumps over Gion. He literally just jumps over him, and then he just started to run with the ball. And, no one has scored a try. And that's okay for the time being. You can breathe for a little bit. But next episode, things are going to get way worse and a lot more intense as the game furthers on. And like I said, there was a lot of knock-ons and scrums. So I looked up what knock-on was because I didn't really understand it. So a knock-on, for anyone that doesn't understand rugby terminology like myself, a knock-on it occurs when a player loses possession of the ball and it goes forward, or when a player hits the ball forward with the hand or arm, or when the ball hits the hand or arm and goes forward and the ball touches the ground or another player before the original player can catch it. So if I have the ball and you're the opposite player and you manage to knock it out of my possession and you catch it before I did, it's considered a knock-on. And it kind of, if you remember, like the little special train that Gion was having with Miyuki and Sumiaki, when he knocked the ball out of Miyuki's hand and then he grabbed it, you can kind of guess like that, but now you're going to put it into actual play. That's what a knock-on is. So, the match is already setting itself up for what we're going to see further on. We're already seeing what Ryoin is capable of, and Jinko is going to have to buckle up themselves and try their best if they even want to score even 1 point against this team. Because already we're seeing where Ryoin is already taking advantage of the game, and it's just a matter of time before they can break the tension and actually make things start to flow and gain control of the entire game. Now, I do not expect Jinko to win. I have said this plenty of times before, and it's not me being negative and that I don't like Jinko. I love Jinko. This is the main team. We're looking from their perspective since the first episode. But for a school that didn't have no foundation, they didn't have a coach, they didn't have a advisor, they don't really have much of a history, and now they finally got it within this year. They got all those things, and they're now starting to build themselves up from the ground up, versus a team that had all of that for possibly even longer, for 15 years. If they were to make Jinko win, say by the end of the season they make Jinko win, it would be bad writing on their part, and it would seem unrealistic. And even as a viewer who really enjoys Jinko, you would be thoroughly disappointed, like how they were able to change it to make Jinko look like the better team, when in all actuality they are not the better team. They are not at Ryoin's level as of yet. So I do expect them to lose. It has to be possible, and it seems more realistic, and they're just not at that point as of yet, and they need to keep practicing and keep training. They are a work in process, and the more they continue doing so, as the series continues on, we'll see where they eventually will reach the point where they can actually meet Ryoin eye to eye. But at this point, this is Ryoin and this is Jinko, or probably even lower. I'm being nice. They're at this, right here at this point. Even though we see Jinko getting better, they're still not at the point where they need to be. So this match will give them that insight to say, this is the goal that we need to reach for. This is a team that we want to aim for. Even though a lot of schools have said that, since we are looking through Jinko's eyes, we're going to see them progress throughout the series, where they're going to try to reach that level. So when the day comes when they're at the finals, if they make it to the finals, they will be facing against Ryoin, and that will truly be a match in the making. That will be a match worth watching. So, you know, for the time being, they're not going to make it. They're not there yet. But I cannot wait to see when that day does come for Jinko. But nonetheless, if you guys saw this week's episode of All Out, episode 23, do tell me in the comment section below how you felt about this week's episode. How do you feel about the introduction of Mikado? Do you like him? Do you dislike him? What are your predictions for the last episode of this series? Are you hoping for a season 2? Yes or no? I would love to hear your opinion on that. I'm going to leave the link where I saw that the tweet that All Out Twitter has made about viewing the last episode in theaters for the last episode in 2 weeks time. I'm going to leave that in the description box. And I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye.